Hello and welcome to the Burn the Ships podcast, the baseball weekly podcast, which I'm just so happy to finally have. I think I've been waiting a year to finally do a baseball podcast on a weekly basis or near weekly basis. And then just last week, Justin Russo, my good friend at Fly By Night, decided, let's do a weekly baseball podcast. And sure enough, now we're here. So Justin, on this fine Monday evening, how are you doing?
I am doing not bad, I think. Could be better. I don't know. I had frozen yogurt tonight, so I'm pretty good.
So you could be Mark Trumbo, but you're not Archie Bradley. I got it. I got you.
You can only be if I can only be one of those two guys. I'd rather be Trumbo right now.
Yeah. So last week we discussed Giants Dodgers opening series in San Francisco, 4-game series. Giants went 3-1, and because baseball likes their schedules, once again we had a Giants Dodgers series. Didn't work out quite as nicely for the Giants this time. Dodgers won the series 2-1. What were your initial impressions from the series?
I think it was kind of like what we saw in San Francisco, which was these are going to be the two teams in the AL West or in the NL West all year. Like these are going to be the two teams the entire season battling. Nobody else in that division. I mean, Colorado's playing nice now. Because before we went on the air, you and I, for people who don't know, before you and I go on the air, we have like an hour of conversation,
Yep.
and then we go on the air because we talk about literally everything. So we were talking about the Rockies. It's like every year they start out hot hitting, but they can never keep it up because their pitching always it craters. So the Rockies are going to fall by the wayside, and then you're going to get Giants, Dodgers all the way to the end of the season. They play like 7 times the final 10 days of the season or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they play something ridiculous. Like they put like 14 of their 19 games against each other, like the first 2 weeks and the last 2 weeks of the season, I think. Which that's cool, I guess. But it was kind of like it was in San Francisco, close. One team won a game by a sizable margin, and then the other games were close, and it was a big swing here and there. So I don't know I don't think there's much you can take away from Giants Dodgers so far, other than we know what these teams are.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much. I mean, this just goes back to Giants the entire week. Like defensively, which they're normally a strong team, but they had a lot of issues this past week.
That first game. Yeah, that first game, Kelby Tomlinson. Yeah.
Kelby Tomlinson, he cost them a game against Dodgers first. He had some issues in Colorado, and then Dodgers. It was just hasn't been ideal. But so that's hopefully something to get ironed out. But yeah, and one thing we also talked about last week was the Dodgers bullpen. Obviously, they had some issues against San Francisco, and then series ends, and look at the Dodgers bullpen now.
Yeah, so the last 5 games for the Dodgers, which includes the final 2 games against Arizona and then the 3 against the Giants, those 5 games, Dodgers bullpen, 14 innings, 3 hits allowed, no runs, 3 walks, 1 hit batter, 14 strikeouts. They outside of the walks and the hit batter, they've been great. Like nothing's been really troublesome. They've been doing what they're supposed to do. They've been shutting the door, and people freak out anytime the bullpen, like a reliever comes in, like, oh, it's Dodgers bullpen. It's like, and I get it. Everyone always expects it to go wrong, but I mean, when it goes right, you have to give them some credit, so they've been good. It's very interesting seeing, I guess, the roles so far, which are Chris Hatcher is the setup guy for Kenley Jansen. So it's going to be interesting to see what other roles are defined. Like JP Howell's the loogie, the lefty 1-out guy. But I'm not sure he's going to be good this year. And Adam Liberatore has been great in AAA and up in the majors. So maybe you have to give him that job.
Yeah. I mean, it's one the bullpen's going to change so much over time. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about how Dodgers fans like to freak out, but I mean, there's pieces there to have a good bullpen, especially with Kenley Jansen, who just nails. I mean, and you mentioned some of the minor league pieces. It's just, this is they're going to figure it out. Andrew Friedman, as much as some Dodgers fans want to knock him, he is brilliant.
Yeah, so Dodger fans don't like him, which is whatever to me. But the interesting thing that you always have to give him credit for is he's not reactionary. Like, he doesn't freak out about things. Like, for instance, people looked at the Dodgers bullpen last season and they saw, what were they, like 19th in ERA or something?
Yep.
And it's like, so you're going to see 19th in ERA, like, Dodgers bullpen sucks, right? Okay, but they were like 5th in FIP and I think 1st in Sierra. So it's like, they were, like, peripherally, they were really good. But as with every bullpen, if you end up having one bad game or two bad games in a short stretch, it kills your ERA.
Yeah.
So I think that's what happened, and Friedman decided, you know what, these guys have good stuff. They just need to get their confidence, and rather than bring in people that will kill their confidence, like, so basically, in terms of like Chris Hatcher, like, rather than bringing in like a setup guy, so rather than pay for Joaquin Soria, let's just give Chris Hatcher the job, instill him with confidence, see how he grows. And I feel like that's the right move. You empower your people. You don't take it away. Oh, and also, I was looking it up on Baseball Reference today. Was it today or yesterday? I don't remember. It was either today or yesterday. But the Dodgers bullpen last year, I think, was first or second in history among bullpens in strikeouts per 9 innings and also in strikeout to walk ratio.
Wow. I mean, yeah.
So, like, you know, like, but what I'm trying to get with that, though, isn't like, oh my God, they're amazing, but it's like, okay, they're one of the greatest bullpens of all time in striking people out and not walking people. You have to believe in that more than they're going to give up a shit ton of runs.
Yeah.
And I think you have to find something, like, in any situation, you have to look for the positives. And the Dodgers bullpen last year struck out a lot of people, and they didn't walk many. So if you're not walking people, you're striking a lot of people out. Maybe you're actually good, and just bad luck happened. And in some aspects it did, in other aspects it didn't. And I think Friedman is playing the long game of, hey, these guys are going to figure it out. Let's just see what happens. And I think you have to respect that. I think you have to roll with that.
Like you mentioned, like they've shown the ability they can miss bats, so it's not as if they're just having that issue. But I mean, so you improve the defense, the ball goes your way this time with the 50 you mentioned. Like, then you have a good bullpen, which you only had to make minor upgrades to, and it's just the ball bounced your way this time.
Yeah, and like, here's the thing: like, everyone wants the Dodgers to build this great bullpen, right? Like, oh, just go out and spend on bullpen. I get that. I 100% get that. Because people, for instance, are going to look at the Yankees and they're like, okay, the Yankees went out and spent money on Andrew Miller, and then they traded for Aroldis Chapman. They went out there and tried to improve the bullpen. And it's like, yes, they did, but you have to consider who they not overpay, but who they spent for. They spent for guys that are historically good. And P.S., by the way, Joe Panic just hit a home run.
Oh, that's what I get for watching the hockey game.
So yeah, I got you covered. But anyways, back to what we were talking about. I don't know if it was the last podcast I told you. I said the Yankees bullpen has 3 of the top 4 relief pitchers in history when it comes to strikeout ratio. So it's like for instance, with the Yankees, it's like you want people to build a bullpen like the Yankees or even the Royals, but it's like, okay, you want them to build a bullpen, but how many teams are capable of even doing that? We're talking 1 or 2 in the entire league. So it's like, you kind of like, you can win with an average bullpen. It has happened before. We've seen it. So you kind of just have to roll with the punches. And
that need to get a historic, the expectation to have a historically great bullpen for some is just, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think people understand how good that Yankees bullpen is. Like, we're talking about the Yankees bullpen, 2016, when they get Aroldis Chapman back on May 6th from suspension for domestic violence. When they get him back, they're going to have Aroldis Chapman, Andrew Miller, Dellin Betances, 3 of the top 4 relief pitchers all time in strikeout ratio. The only other pitcher that's not a Yankee that falls into that top 4 is Kenley Jansen. So, wow. Yeah, you're talking basically 3 of the 4 greatest strikeout relief pitchers of all time. You're going to want to be, you need to put some context into how good these guys are.
Yeah.
And I don't think people do. Like they want the Dodgers to just suddenly trot out like this unstoppable bullpen, and I get that. I really do. But you really need to chill sometimes and just accept it for what it is, you know?
Yeah.
I just looked it up, and I've been saying it wrong. They're not 3 of the top 4. They're 3 of the top 5. Apparently, Kenley Jansen overtook Andrew Miller for 4th on the all-time list, which is whatever. So 3 of the top 5. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like if you were to change it to any, like if you were to change it to say, if you're to say, well, you know, I don't want to say the Angels, so we'll go with the team that's different. Red Sox have Mike Trout and Bryce Harper in their lineup. So, well, you know, like look at how historically great they are. We should have that too. Well, you're not going to get Mike Trout and Bryce Harper into your lineup. It's just they don't come a dime a dozen.
This is going to shock people, but historically great players are historically great because they don't come along often.
You mean they're not in the free agency pool every year?
Yeah. No, they're not. They're not. Speaking of free agency pool, though, a little bit off topic, what do you think Steven Strasburg gets this year in free agency?
Let's see. Jeff Samardzija got, what, $5.95?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, I feel like he should get at least that. I don't know, because I feel like some team will buy into the fact that they can work with him and get back to the pitcher that maybe they think he can be of a top guy. So I don't know.
Okay, it's funny you said that. It's funny the way you phrase that, because I'm going to ask you the next question I'm going to ask you is this. If you had to pick Steven Strasburg's career ERA, what would you pin it at?
I want to say he's 3.9.
So barely just under 4?
Yeah.
What if I told you it's 307?
Wow.
What if I told you his FIP is 283?
What?
What if I told you he's averaging as a starter 10.4 strikeouts per 9 innings?
I'm starting to wonder where these numbers are coming from. I'm just like, it's hard to believe.
But this is a conversation I've had with people before too, and this is why Strasburg's kind of interesting, because there's people who, when you bring up Steven Strasburg, will say, he hasn't been as good as I thought he would be, right? Like, that's kind of the thing. Like, oh, he's been a little bit disappointing. And then you look at the numbers, you're like, wait a second. He's actually been pretty darn good if we actually just look at it. Because I think people are so built upon this idea of, like, if you don't have an ERA like in the low 2s, you're not really that good.
Yeah.
And I think last season kind of ruined people for pitching, like, because you had Arrieta, Greinke, and Kershaw, and it was like, okay,
yeah.
It was like you had 3 guys throwing historic season. Like, what was it, Arrieta? No, it was Greinke had the lowest ERA since whenever, and then Arrieta had like the best combination of something, and then Kershaw was the first guy with 300 strikeouts since like 2002. And it's like yeah, so you talk about 3 guys who did historical stuff. No wonder they were really good.
Do you think part of it with Strasburg is the Max Scherzer effect, where he's not the ace, so people don't see him as that top guy?
That is the thing, and I do wonder if he is a top guy. Like, would you be comfortable? And this is kind of funny because I personally would be comfortable with this, because I think the term of ace is is not really what it meant to, or what it used to be. Like, I think the ace now is the guy that you trust the most on your staff.
Yeah.
So would I trust Strasburg the most on pretty much a lot of staffs? Yeah. As weird as it sounds, I would trust him more than Madison Bumgarner. I think he has better stuff.
Yeah.
Do I think he's going to go as deep into games? No. But I do believe. I
feel like if you remove the playoffs from the equation, that people
would have a different view of Bumgarner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the playoffs kind of skewed his perception to a lot of people, because I don't view Bumgarner as good as other people consider him. I just think he had a couple really good stretches. And no, that's not to take stuff away, because he had 3 straight seasons of an ERA under 3. I don't want to sit here and be like he's been not good, because it's funny, because if you look at Bumgarner, his career ERA is 3.06. So we're talking literally 0.01 difference from Strasburg.
Yeah.
So it's like, in what context do you view Strasburg from Bumgarner? And because the other thing with Strasburg's still young, man. Like, he's He's still 27. He'll be 28 in July. Like, so you're talking about a frontline 28-year-old pitcher in his prime. I mean, career ERA hovering around 3. I could see some team giving him 200.
Yeah, and also like what you mentioned with Bumgarner, like just going off last year, April 3.73 ERA, May 2.61, June 2.77, July 4.85, August 1.43. There's some good, but like there's peaks and bounds. Like it goes up and down with him, so it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like that's a lot of pitchers though, where like they go through peaks and valleys. Because there are stretches where like you'll watch a starter who loses a release point for a couple starts for some reason. So it's kind of hard to understand what's going on with a lot of that stuff. But I would think Strasburg could get $200 million, and I think teams should start doing it. I do think the Dodgers go after him.
Yeah,
I think that's the guy that they're kind of waiting on. It's going to be one of those signings where he's a SoCal kid, and if the Nationals don't do much this year in terms of like they get in the playoffs and they lose early or whatever, or he feels like he is not the ace, or which then again, if you go to the Dodgers, he's not going to be the ace on the Dodgers. But you know what I mean.
He'll be at home.
Plus, he seems like a Friedman guy. Like I know Friedman's been trying to clear the cupboard of bad contracts, but I don't think if you give Strasburg $200 million, that's a bad contract. If you give Strasburg 6 years, $200 million, is that bad?
No, I mean, no. And like because with Strasburg again, like you mentioned Washington, like I don't know, I feel like what happened when he was kept out of the playoffs, like that can still be in his memory. And just some of the other stuff that's gone on with Washington.
Yeah, and maybe playing for Dusty Baker will grate on him.
Yeah.
But I know what I want to talk about. Okay, your thoughts on Kenta Maeda?
I've watched him twice, and I mean, because it seemed like there's a process during the season last year, and starting leading up to the offseason where there was a lot of Maeda hype. And then it kind of slowed down. There was concerns over his elbow and stuff. So the hype died down. But, like, watching him, obviously it's early, but, man, I'm impressed. Like, he's just – I'm jealous.
I read something today, and I kind of wrote about it. I do see where the Greinke comparisons come from. He is not going to velocity you to death. And like Greinke last season, he works on the outer edge. So he's going to get strikes that aren't strikes. He's going to get strikes off the edge of the plate, away from righties, because he's going to be working away from them the entire time. So umpires are going to keep thinking, well, if he's pitching there, that's a strike.
Yeah.
You know, so because he was getting some strikes last night that Samardzija wasn't getting. I had a conversation on Twitter with somebody about that. And I think it's because Maeda doesn't throw with velocity, whereas Samardzija's throwing 95, 96, 97. So when he's throwing with velocity as a fastball and you're painting an outside corner that you think is a strike, well, you're throwing it harder. And sometimes when you're throwing it harder, the umpire might have the mindset of, well, he's moving the glove a lot. Whereas with Maeda, the ball is kind of gliding. So when Grandal was framing the pitch, it didn't look like he was moving it much.
It looks like it's in that spot. It's not.
Yeah. So it's very delicate, and I think he reminds me a lot with Greinke, also the way he finishes his pitches. So like when he finishes the motion, he always ends up square to the batter in a fielding position that's perfect. He's really athletic. So I think he has some Greinke qualities. His slider is unbelievable, man. Like a freaking wiffle ball.
I feel like.
Do you want the stat on his slider? Because this will actually like trip you out a little bit. All right, so I don't know the exact amount of sliders he's thrown, but batters have swung at 52 sliders. They have missed 24 of them.
Holy cow.
His average exit velocity so far, in terms of like what he's given up, average exit velocity, 83.9 miles an hour. That's the fourth lowest in baseball with like a minimum of 30 at-bats faced. Greinke last season was at 87.7. He's almost 4 miles an hour below Greinke. He's faced 73 batters this season, man, and only 4 of them have a batted ball of 100 miles an hour or more.
That's that. That's
And Arizona had 3 of them. There wasn't one last night. Even the panic home run was 99.
just weak contact, pitching you in his spots and just being
And getting
every
grounders.
technical way.
Like, it's one thing if you get weak contact, but he's getting weak contact grounders and pop-ups. Like, guys aren't lining the ball off of him. Like, it's incredible. Like, and here's the thing. I do believe batters and teams are going to end up catching up to him. For instance, like, I do think, like, teams will start scouting, okay, let's just lay off the slider and basically, if anything starts in the middle of the plate, just leave it, But that's also dangerous because he can paint with his fastball. And even though it's 90-91, you get a guy who knows how to place it. That's deadly. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how teams adjust to him. It's going to be interesting to see how he adjusts. Grandal liked catching him. He loved it.
I mean, yeah, that has to be nice. Like, he's just, where he's going to go with the ball. There's no...
And he wasn't sharp yesterday. Like, he was not sharp, but he knew how to get in and out of trouble. It's pretty impressive to watch that.
And, like, knowing things like that, just because you mentioned that teams will make adjustments like that, gives me confidence that he'll know how to make adjustments to his own stuff. Yeah,
it's gonna be an ongoing battle. Like, teams are gonna adjust, he'll adjust. Teams will adjust, he'll adjust.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, in terms of where do I think the I keep saying American League, but like, for instance, the National League West, how do I see it playing out? I do think the Dodgers ultimately win the division, but I think it's going to come down to that final weekend.
Yeah.
Now, when I say that, I don't know if they're going to have to, like, win a game and then they'll win the division or something, but that's just how I see it.
I mean, I guess both teams could, but, like, I'm curious to see what Giants do near trade deadline with Suzak. I kind of see him being traded this year.
Yeah, they don't really need him.
Yeah, you have Belt locked up first base, Posey at catcher. He's expendable, and with how some teams need catchers.
Yeah, they might be able to, like, get it like a reliever or a starter or something from somebody.
So it'll be interesting, but you can look at that for different teams. So it's just
yeah, because, like, for instance, with the Dodgers, it's like, do they trade for someone like Carlos Gonzalez or do they just wait for Andre Ethier? It's going to be interesting. Like, this trade deadline is going to be weird.
It's going to be. I'm excited.
This is a good baseball season already. You can just tell.
It's a wild baseball season. I mean, we're again the hour-long pre-show discussion. We talked about Mark Trumbo pretty much being a Triple Crown threat as of now, which is just
gotta love baseball 2 weeks into a season.
It is an incredible sport.
I asked the question on Twitter the other night. It was, I think, the first night that the Angels lost to the Twins. Just the very first night, not the third or the second night, but the first one. Is Joe Mauer a Hall of Famer? And I feel like this is a loaded question because I think there's 2 perceptions of Joe Mauer. I think there's the perception of prime Joe Mauer, where he was like the ungodly hitting machine. And then I think there's the perception now of Joe Mauer where, he's all right. So I'm kind of curious to see what you think. Like, would you buy into him as a Hall of Famer? And actually, before you answer that, I'll just give you his credentials, okay? I'll just give you the numbers so you can hear him and you can make your decision. Lifetime batting average 313, which I believe will be the second highest by a catcher in baseball history. 395 on base. He OPS almost 850. What is this? 6-time All-Star. He won an MVP. 3-time Gold Glover. 5-time Silver Slugger. Has 1,700 hits right now. When he's done with his career, he'll have more hits than Johnny Bench, Yogi Berra, Mike Piazza, and Gary Carter. Would you consider him a Hall of Famer?
I mean, and like, because you mentioned one thing is how people view his career. 2009, he had the big, huge power year. He had the
Joe
average. He
Mauer
had
with
everything.
power.
Yeah, Joe Mauer with power.
Well, okay, because for an 8-year stretch, just so people understand this, for an 8-year stretch, 8 years, he hit 327, and he walked 58 more times than he struck out.
Yeah,
Like he was freaking good. Like OPS plus was 139. Like we're not talking about some cheap kind of offensive player. Like he was good. He was damn good. So yeah, like that's why I'm curious. Like, would you put him in the Hall of Fame, or would you think like, you know what, if he gets if he gets 2,500 hits, you'd be like, okay, that might be enough.
Oh man, well, actually, you know what? My first answer would be because he played in an area where there was any speculation about steroids. I'm not putting him in at all. So all those players, I'm not putting. Because you mentioned just a 313 career average, but I mean, like, also look at some of the past seasons. It's just, granted, part of that's injuries. When's the last time he played catch? But then you look at his career numbers versus catch against all catchers. It's
because he hasn't caught since 2013. But
he's ninth all time.
But here's the crazy part.
Oh, wait, no, he's not.
He hasn't caught since 2013. But 2013, he hit 324 as a catcher.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's the incredible part.
I mean, he has hit like 270 since, but it's.
I mean, he's off to a great start this year. He's really ripping the ball this year. And
Mark Trumbo.
Yeah, well, okay. All right, that's rude. That's rude. But damn, now I can't even make a point because I was like, so's Mark Trumbo. Whatever point I have. It's like, oh man, Trevor Story's hitting the hell out of the ball. Yeah, so's Mark Trumbo. Like, oh, cool. Like, yeah, that's true. Son of a bitch.
Oh man. I mean, see, but now I'm thinking about this in the case of like, let's say he retired.
God forbid something happened and he had to retire.
Yes, let's say he retired this year. But I'm also trying to think about what that Hall of Fame ballot would look like and who's he's going to be going up against. And
okay, so if he retired, what would that be? 2021?
Yeah, Ichiro will probably retire,
and Ichiro would get in because he'd have to.
Who else is going to?
Okay, well, 2020 would be. 2020 is the last year on Baseball Reference where you're able to see like who would be. Like Derek Jeter would be 2020.
And by the way, as we're having this discussion, I feel like this is a great like weekly thing where we bring up a player and discuss if they should be in the Hall.
Yeah, that would be a pretty good thing. Because I do feel, that would be really good for some players. All right, here you go. Here's an interesting thing. We'll get back to we're going to get to the Mauer thing back in a second. But 2020 Hall of Fame, Adam Dunn, that would be Adam Dunn's first year. Would you put Adam Dunn in? Because I would. Career 854 OPS, hit 662 home runs, walked 1,300 times.
Just blanking on the name right now. Who I'm trying to. Who is the Seattle Mariners former DH?
Oh, Edgar Martinez.
Edgar Martinez, is he in?
He's not in, and I actually agree with what you're about to say, which is like if Edgar's not in, you can't put Dunn in, and I kind of agree with that.
Yeah,
because I do want Edgar in. Like he deserves to be in.
Yeah. I mean, granted, but then that gets this thing of in our Hall of Fame, Edgar's in already.
Yeah.
So
here's an interesting Hall of Fame case: Bobby Abreu.
Bobby Abreu.
Because I'm putting him in.
Let me pull up his accolades again, just because it's been a few years. Bobby Abreu.
There's been a lot of interesting ones in 2020. For first ballot, you're going to get Jeter, Abreu, Jason Giambi, Cliff Lee, Rafael Furcal would be an interesting one. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but I think you could make the perceived case. Eric Chavez would have had a Hall of Fame career if not for injuries.
I feel like some of these guys are just never going to make it in because they're on that border, and because some people always question about steroids and PED use, they're just out the window.
Here's a guy from 2020 that I could conceivably see being a Hall of Famer, but I'm not sure if I would vote for him. Alfonso Soriano. 400 home runs, close to 300 stolen bases.
Yeah, let's see. I'm going back and forth. I'm going to say no.
On which one?
I don't. Alfonso.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm going. It's just. So I feel like you're gonna have Jeter get in. So granted, this is just looking at 2020.
I feel like voters are gonna be like, Jeter's in, no one else can get in.
Honestly, I think you're 100% right.
Be like, you know what? We're just gonna make this Jeter's year. It's gonna be like fucking A. Like, really?
All right, so let's say just Jeter gets in. So in 21, Abreu, Giambi, Canerco, Soriano all join. Again, this is all hypothetically. Mauer, Tim Hudson, Torrey Hunter, Aramis Ramirez, Perry Zito. Perry Zito. Why MLB.com? Why do you have his name on there?
Oh, this is funny because Out of the Park Baseball. I'm trying to remember Out of the Park Baseball who they put in because I just got through the 2021 offseason and I voted on the Hall of Fame. And 4 people made it in. Sammy Sosa actually made it in 2021.
Wow. Oh yeah, there's the guys carrying over too. That's right.
I think that's Sammy Sosa's 10th year.
Yeah. So, and going through the list. Yeah, going through the list of other guys, it would take if Joe Mauer, it would take a while for him to get in.
So 2021, yeah, we'd also get Torrey Hunter. You're right. Aramis Ramirez.
No.
Because the Baseball Hall of Fame website has this about Aramis. 3-time All-Star. Had 100 RBIs in a season 7 times. Finished his career with 386 home runs, which is 7th all-time among players who played at least half their games at third base. Only 5 third basemen have more career than his 1,417 RBIs. And he led the National League in assists twice and fielding percentage twice among third basemen, which I don't really give a shit about, but you know what I mean. So, but I do agree with you. Like, you're gonna get these guys like 20. Now that I said it out loud, I do think that's what happens. 2020. This is Jeter's year. No one else goes in. Screw everybody else, and it's gonna be like great. You know.
Yeah.
You're like, this sucks.
I think it's gonna keep backing up. It's just.
Wait a second. Would 2021 be Mariano Rivera too?
No, 2019 is Mariano.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, 2019, Michael Young, Kevin Youkilis, Juan Pierre, Andy Pettit, Roy Oswalt, Todd Helton, Roy Halladay, Lance Berkman.
Halladay has an interesting case.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see if he could get in.
See, now I'm going over the other names. 2018, we got Carlos Lee, Chipper Jones.
Jones is getting in.
Yeah. Levon Hernandez.
I put Levon in just for the sheer hilarity of the fact that my brother got a ball from Levon Hernandez.
Yeah, let's go with it.
I have low expectations for the Hall of Fame. I really do.
Well, you know what? The expectations need to be lowered with how bad it is right now.
So do you see Joe Mauer getting in? Because I could see him getting in. especially when you put into context that he was a catcher.
I mean, I think this is where it comes. I think it would take several years, and he's probably going to play a few more years in Major League Baseball. So, I mean, maybe his final 5, 6, 7 years are outside the catcher position. So you're going to have that. You're going to have 5 years later when he's first eligible. It's going to take more years for him to get in. He's not going to be first ballot. So then it comes down to
he turns 33 tomorrow.
Are people going to remember him as a catcher? Okay, so like 2, 3 more years. Are people going to remember him as a catcher?
That's the interesting question. And also, you got to remember, he did not have postseason success, not because of his own doing, just because all 3 times he made the postseason, the Twins went 3 and out.
Yeah. Oh, Twins.
I can't fault Joe. Like, he hasn't made the playoffs since 2010, okay? Like, I'm not going to blame Joe Mauer for that. Be like, Joe, you should have done better, you know?
Joe, you know what? You were on a terrible team, so we're going to blame you because
I'm sorry that you had to catch or whatever the hell that guy's name was.
Yeah, so I think by the time he gets in, it's
Eric Milton. That's the guy I couldn't think of.
It's too close for me. Yeah. Oh.
Too close? Yeah, I could see that. I think he's 14th all time in catcher wins above replacement from Fangraphs.
Let me ask you this, because I don't know how many more years it is until Yachty retires, but let's say it's around the same time. Do you think that will push Mauer back further?
See, I wouldn't put Yachty in the Hall of Fame.
You know people will, though.
Oh, they absolutely will, because everyone loves him, and he's got World Series titles and whatever. I never thought of him as a Hall of Famer. He was a league average offensive catcher, so basically he's average at the plate. Yeah,
he's a Hall of Famer defensively, but you have to hit too, which is a problem.
He's one of the greatest defensive catchers we've ever seen. 100% agree with that. We'll never disagree that he's one of the greatest defensive catchers we've ever seen. The problem is he didn't have the offense to go with it.
No, he didn't.
Like, yeah, there was a couple seasons he was really good offensively. Like, what was 2012? He had like 22 home runs or something. He OPS'd, I think, like something high eights. I think it was like 870, 880 or something like that. So it was like, yeah, he had a couple good years, like really good years at the plate. But it's like, and then you look at everything else, it's like bad offensive player, average offensive player. Like, how do you view him? Personally, I view him as a guy that was whatever at the plate, and behind the plate he was great. Do I want to put him in the Hall of Fame? Not really.
If Andrelton Simmons goes on to have many, many more years of just being incredible defensively, is he somehow going to make it in?
See, I think it's a lot easier for like shortstops that don't hit to get in than catchers because the Ozzie Smith effect.
Yeah.
Was it Simmons is
just random question because I'm thinking about this now. Let's hype. I mean, because you know this is going to factor.
By the way, I wouldn't put him
hypothetically
in the Hall of Fame anyway. So just to put that out there.
Yeah. Hypothetically, and this is not asking if you would put him in, but just if you think baseball would. Let's say he wins another World Series. Let's say he wins another Gold Glove or two. Brandon Crawford.
I don't view him as a Hall of Fame guy.
I don't know. I'm thinking about
I know what you mean, though.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Like, the more you win, the more people perceive yourself as better than you are.
Yeah.
How old is he? He's, 29?
29.
How many more years does he hit like he's been hitting the last couple of years? How many 2015s does he have?
3.
3 more? 3 more or 3 total?
3 to 4 total. So that could be 3 more or just 2 more.
Okay, I'll just say 4 then. So let's say 4. He has 4 more 2015. So that put him at what, 33, and then
2 World Series titles, which
32.
are going to matter for people.
Yeah, so let's say three or 4 World Series titles, for 2015s, because 2015 he was like a 5 wins guy. Personally, I still wouldn't put him in, but I could see people would vote for him just because whatever.
Yeah. So it's an interesting one. Just like, I don't know.
I do think there are interesting cases. Like, is Zach Greinke a Hall of Famer? Yeah, tough question, right? Career 3.4 ERA, but he had some freaking good seasons.
Yeah.
Like when he won the Cy Young with the Royals, he was fantastic.
How often was he the best pitcher in baseball?
Never. Well, outside the 1 year with the Royals, maybe that was it. Because last year I don't consider him even if he would have won the Cy Young, I would have been like, yeah, Kershaw's still better.
Kershaw.
Like we know who's better. you know how I know who's better? Because who was starting game 1 of the playoffs.
Yep. So I feel
I hate saying that, but like that literally it was like, were you starting Greinke or Kershaw? Like, you're starting Kershaw. Come on.
You're starting Kershaw and you're not even spending a second thinking about it.
Like, that was the question last year people were asking was like, do you start Greinke or do you start Kershaw? I was like, why are you even asking? Like, you know who's getting the ball.
You can spend your time thinking about other things. You can just – it's going to be Kershaw. Yes.
Pretty much. That's how it was. So do you think Greinke has a Hall of Fame case? I'll just ask like that. Do you think he has a case?
No. No. I don't think the case is going to be strong enough to where he's ever closely considered.
Okay, I can buy it. Because he's at 142 wins, which I'm like you, I hate wins, but I mean, he's 33 in October, so if he can get 58 more wins over the duration of his contract, you're looking at a 200-win pitcher. I mean, I could see Hall of Fame just because, or at least a case for it, just because baseball.
Yeah, I mean, but
let's
say I'm trying to think of bring up other examples of current players.
David Price.
Who else am I thinking of right now? Wainwright? No.
I wouldn't put Wainwright in.
But he has World Series, which is going to help him.
But he really shouldn't.
Cole Hamels, John Lester. Who else?
You put Bartolo Colon in? and the reason I'm asking, he did win a Cy Young Award. He's got over 200 wins. He's going to finish his career with almost 50 wins above, or pretty much 50 wins above replacement, and a sub-4 ERA. Barely sub-4, or maybe even just above sub-4, whatever. But like, and he's already got 2,200 strikeouts. Like, would you put him in?
I'm going to tie this into like even with Greinke. So just throwing him in with other guys, because you mentioned Felix Hernandez.
Yeah, Felix probably is a Hall of Famer, to be honest.
Like, I mean, so like if you're just looking, I mean, granted the ERAs are different. Like Jake Peavy's up there with going to have 150, 160 wins.
Verlander,
John Lackey, who else? CC has 215.
Yeah, Bumgarner.
So I feel like there's going to be so many pitchers that's just
that they're all going to like. Sorry, that they're all going to basically like kill themselves in terms of voting because of all that.
And unless you were the best at your time during a certain time period, the best, then it's going to be incredibly hard for you to get in.
Like, the only guy I know who for sure will get in at this second is Kershaw. Like, that's the only guy I'm 100% confident saying if he were to retire today, if he made a phone call to the league office right now, would Kershaw get in the Hall of Fame in 5 years? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the only guy I'm comfortable saying that about.
And during that phone call, Major League Baseball is freaking out. They're terrified. They're begging him.
They're asking Kershaw, "Could you bring Lincecum back?" Like, come on. By the way, Lincecum would have a Hall of Fame career if he would have never lost everything.
Yeah, Lincecum would have. Oh man.
Because remember, Lincecum or Kershaw was a thing.
It was.
Like, people
Man,
might
this
not
is
think
like-
about it now, obviously, but 5, 6, 7 years ago, that was a thing.
Yep, it was. Oh man, big time Timmy Jim, the freak.
Like, I'll never forget him. I never will. I will always love him. They were the same draft, right?
I think so. Yeah,
I think Lincecum went, like, what, a couple picks after him? Whether it was 2008?
did Lincecum go 10th overall? 2006 MLB draft,
Yeah. Kershaw went 7th, Lincecum went 10th. They were the same draft.
and Scherzer went 11th. So
Yeah, that's a or 2006 draft. Yeah, that
there's
is a
Ian
draft.
Kennedy
And Longoria went 3rd. And Longoria went 30. He could have a Hall of Fame career. Andrew Miller has been absolutely sensational.
He's going to need a hell of a lot of saves to get in.
Yeah, it's almost impossible for closers to get in or relievers to get in. Like, that's the one thing. Like, I think Kimbrel will get in if he keeps up his pace. Like, the interesting thing for closers is I think Frankie Rodriguez might be the next closer outside of Hoffman and Rivera who might get in.
Yeah, I could. What was the other name? Bring up that I'm blanking on right now. Oh no, that was unrelated. No, it was unrelated. It was just I was thinking about an earlier discussion and like Bumgarner and then we're talking about Miami before the podcast. I was just thinking about Jose Fernandez, not related to the Hall of Fame, just about what he
By
could
the way,
be.
think about this for Lincecum. From 2008 to 2011, he was a 4 times All-Star, won 2 Cy Youngs, 3 seasons with a sub-3 ERA. Over those 4 years, he had a combined ERA of 281. He struck out 977 batters at 881, almost 882 innings. Like, he struck out 10 per 9. Like, he was freaking good. And he won't even come close to the Hall of Fame. It's kind of sad because I actually liked him. I loved him.
I do have another because you're mentioning Francisco Rodriguez. Well, I just want to pull up the stats because I had one because you mentioned. I mean, career saves is a big one for if people are voting.
Yeah,
So,
they tend to look at that a lot because they perceive that as like
a few more years, he's going to have, I think, World Series. I think, and it feels so odd to say it. Jonathan Papelbon.
fuck. You know what's funny is before you mentioned him on this is where I remember him from Out of the Park Baseball because he came up on Out of the Park Baseball for basically the Hall of Fame, and I was like, I could see him in the Hall of Fame. Do I want him in the Hall of Fame? Not really. But then I realized like it's not the Hall of Great Personalities,
Yeah. Although it kind of is with Barry Bonds not being in and.
Oh, that reminds me. You just reminded me of something. I'll have to tell you in a little bit. It actually blew my mind yesterday when I read it. But where's Papelbon on the saves list? Papelbon on the saves list is 11th
all time.
4 behind Percival, so he'll get into the top 10 this year.
Yeah, by the end of the season, like he'll be.
What team is he with?
He's with Washington.
If he gets 30 saves, if he gets 30 saves, he'll be he'll be 7th because he'll take 7th from Frankie because Frankie will move up.
Yeah. And then next year he could pass
gets 30
Eckersley.
saves. If Frankie gets 30 saves with the freaking Tigers, he'll move up into the top 5.
Yeah.
Actually, top 4. Jesus.
So Craig Kimbrell's at 229.
But he's also, you remember, he's 28.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just like, and those Ks. He needs a World Series.
He could have potentially might have a chance at one if the Braves didn't leave him in the bullpen in that Dodger series.
Yeah.
Remember that game 4? He had to stand in the bullpen ready while they let Luis Avalon or was not Luis Avalon, the other guy, Carpenter, that one David Carpenter pitch. Remember that?
Yes.
It's like, oh, you're doing God's work here, Freddie Gonzalez. Good job.
Freddie Gonzalez, Giants
You
should probably
literally
thank him
pitched
for helping him.
in back-to-back years, dude. Well, technically, I can't hold 2012 because 2012 you pitched one inning, but that was the Cardinals game, the wild card that the Braves should have never even been in because they won like so many goddamn more games than the Cardinals. That was ridiculous. But
yeah, if anyone from Major League Baseball is watching, like, let us vote for the Hall of Fame. The discussion will be fun, and we're not going to hold steroids against players.
They would freaking kill us. But yeah, what was I gonna say? So, and now I just blanked on it again. Oh my god, I'm having one of those moments.
Did we ever find out? Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so actually, you go first because I'll remember this time. But go ahead, you go first.
Did we ever find out who are the guys who didn't vote for Ken Griffey Jr.?
I don't think we did.
Damn it. I want to find out. I want to know their names.
I should.
Oh, wow.
They do like the NBA. Like the NBA releases lists.
Turn to the Giants game at 6-4.
Oh yeah, the Giants scored 4 runs to break the tie, and the Diamondbacks just got back too.
Oh my goodness, Jake Peavy walked to drive in a run.
Yeah.
What is this world? This is why Mark Trumbo is leading the league and everything.
That happened. Who didn't vote for Ken Griffey Jr. in the Hall? Let's see. There were 3 people who didn't.
Never learned their names.
I don't think any of the names released. And what's crazy is in 2007, 8 people didn't vote for Cal Ripken.
Goodness. Goodness gracious. Oh. All to protect the precious, unanimous crap.
And I get that, like, actively seeking out who did it is kind of, like, cheap. Like, you shouldn't just start, like, being, like, just don't – I wouldn't be mean to them. I would simply ask them, like, why did you just not vote for him? Like, because I would kind of understand if it was, like, we knew he was going to get in, so we wanted to vote for somebody else who was on the edge. It's like, okay, that's fine. But if you didn't, like, actually
I think the reason was because they wanted to keep the whole unanimous.
If that's why, then they should just get away from themselves.
Well, I mean, remember, we have Hall of Fame voters who decided that once steroid era started, they were done voting for players.
Yeah, that's true. Like if Greg Maddux didn't get unanimously voted in, come on.
Now, what was the thing you're going to bring up that unless you forgot again?
Oh, okay. So yesterday on Twitter, this article came across my timeline. I forgot who retweeted on my timeline, but I read it. I read it on my phone. To tell you how lazy I was still laying in bed when I read it. Okay, so I was really lazy.
I do that all the time, so I guess yeah.
Yeah, it's like one of life's great things. Like when you're too tired to move, so you just read on your phone in bed. But so you know how there's like that common perception that Ty Cobb was this racist, dirty player?
Yes.
That's not true. Some guy did research and was like, that's 100% inaccurate. He found things. Yeah, like apparently it was a narrative run by a couple people to sell stories, and then it became like this big thing where everyone just believed it because it was, there was like the movie about it. There was an autobiography about him, or that was ghost written because Ty Cobb was sick and couldn't do it himself, and there was a lot of inaccuracies in there. So it was very interesting to read this article. I gotta try to find it.
Is it from the New York Post?
Is it from that?
How Ty Cobb was framed as a racist by Kyle Smith, May 31st, 2015.
No, it was from someone from like March of this season. March of this year.
Oh, Patriot Post. Who was Ty Cobb? The history we know that's wrong.
Yes. I need to find that article again. That was a really good article.
I just found. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, it was. You read it, man. You're almost like, wow. I have a different viewpoint than Ty Cobb right now. Like, because you know there was that like the thing where it was like Ty Cobb would file his spikes into like sharper edges so that he can like actually spike people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was false.
Wow.
He was one of the guys who was trying to get people to like not spike people.
Huh. So wow.
Like it's like if you when you read the article, you're gonna be like, wow, this is no, that Ty Cobb is kind of wrong, and I kind of hope. Yep, there it is. I just got the link that you sent me. Yeah. Yep. I went through like 5 pages on my phone.
I mean, like, I get the media influence. So, like, I'm trying to think, who was the former Giants player who everyone loves? But like, I was reading about how. I mean, this was when Tony Gwynn passed away, and the stories about how Gwynn was just a great person, and how he kind of went against. Why am I blanking on his name?
Jeff Kent.
Is it Will Clark?
Will Clark makes sense.
Yeah, it's Will Clark, who they just said was a complete a-hole racist.
I heard the same thing about Jeff Kent.
I'd believe it.
But then again, I'm like, how much of that is true?
I mean, because it is trying to color.
They're trying to sell stories.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of like,
And
I don't know what to believe.
I don't know.
And that's kind of where I'm kind of unsure of like what to make of some stories, because the society we live in now is basically all reactionary, where the first story that goes out is pretty much the one everyone believes.
Yep.
So like that's why you see news places trying to like fall over themselves to
First.
Yeah, like if you get the first line out there, you're like you got gold, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is what it is. I kind of wish that wouldn't happen though, but it is, you know, like whatever.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see this. Hold on, where is it? Going back to the Maeda thing. 75% of his pitches have been on the outer half of the plate or off the outside corner.
Wow, he's just working that.
Yeah, 56% of his pitches this season have been off speed, which is the third highest rate of any non-knuckleball throwing starter. His hard hit rate this season is 9%. The major league average typically hovers around 14.
Wow, that's just.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes because you know, like Nomo and all those guys, like Kuroda, all started good, and then, you know, so who knows?
Yeah, it kind of went. Angel Pagan, how are you doing? What you're doing right now? Double two
I don't get it. I don't understand.
I can't predict you baseball.
I do think baseball is the most unpredictable sport out there.
I would agree.
Because, at least of the major four. Because if you have a bad game, there's no coming back. It's not like football where it's like, oh, you can play crappy for 3 quarters and still have a chance. Like, that's not possible in baseball.
Yeah.
Unless you are the 2001 Cleveland Indians against the 2001 Seattle Mariners. Or was it 2002? I don't remember. That was the year the Mariners won like 116 games, but they blew that game on ESPN to the Cleveland Indians when they were up 14-2. Do you remember
that? Oh my goodness!
You need to go watch that. The entire game's on YouTube.
Well, I know what I'll be doing this week.
Just fast forward to the 8th inning. The bottom of the 8th inning. That's all you need to do. Like, it was the greatest broadcast ever because it's on ESPN Classic. ESPN Classic rebroadcast, and that's why it's on YouTube. If you go through and watch it,
Here we go. 2001.
As the comeback's happening, the announcers in the booth aren't even talking about the game. Wow. Like, someone hit a home run to cut the lead to 5 or 4 or something, maybe even 3. And it was like, oh, there's a solo home run. And they went back to talking about the rest of that we're talking about. I was like, well, like, bro, like, this game's close now.
Wow. Speaking of broadcasts, I mean, granted, I could never do it because it would have been possibly difficult. But did you know Sunday night baseball broadcast? I forgot who it was, which I forgot his name, but like he screwed up so many times.
John Schulman or whatever his name is, or something like that.
Yeah, with like the score, players' names, everything, teams.
Yeah, not Aaron Boone, right?
No.
Yeah, he's weird. Like I like Aaron Boone and I like Jessica Mendoza.
Mendoza, as I tweet, that was a good hire by them.
She's really good. Like, she's the Doris Burke of baseball.
It was still just
shameless plug. She's from the city I live in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's from Camarillo. That's freaking amazing, right? I was like, oh, like, all right then. Hashtag Doman Young.
I must ask, how does she know about baseball? Because she's never played, Justin.
I don't know. It's amazing.
That's a coincidence, probably.
How does Doris Burke know about the NBA if she's never suited up? Like, I hate those people, man.
Yeah, well, it's those people, the people who think bat flips are disrespecting the game.
Speaking of disrespecting the game, Yasiel Puig is amazing.
He is. Oh my goodness. Oh,
did you see his tweet today?
He tweeted?
Yeah, he tweeted. He tweeted a picture of himself on the team playing by himself. And he said, I'm here. He said something like, I'm waiting for my teammates. I'm here. I'm the first one here. And he put the hashtag Puig not late.
I already on the plane ready to fly. Where are my teammates? Let's go. Puig not late. Oh my goodness.
And then Kike Hernandez tweeted him and goes, who wrote this for you?
Oh my goodness.
Which, by the way, shows me how comfortable he is this year.
You know what's so weird about that? You know, it's Zach Greinke's gone.
And so's Don Mattingly.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a shock. It's amazing what happens when you get rid of a guy who is actually mean and toss a player's bag onto a fucking street, and then you get rid of the manager who was enabling everybody.
It's almost as if that book was right.
It's almost like science.
Yeah.
By the way, I kind of wonder if not re-signing Greinke was also their way of like committing to Puig.
I could see it. It was changing managers, and it was like, we're going to give you this. It's a clean slate, good opportunity for you, and just see what you can do. I can see it.
Yeah, and you can see it early in the season because Puig is hustling his ass off, man.
Yeah.
He made that 7th inning run happen. Like, what was it? He lined that ball up the middle. He stole second. He hustled around on that single. Like,
yeah, off Crawford's glove, and he
kept running
around the corner.
You know, I mean, I don't know if he's going to keep hitting like this all season, but if he keeps hustling, it's not going to matter.
Yeah. And that was we know what people's biggest issue with him, but that's one of the things that they would put it under.
Yeah, he was hot dogging it and stuff, and it's like he's not doing that anymore. He's hustling. He's trying. Like, I knew he had changed. Was it the first game of the season? I believe it was when he the first at-bat he had of the entire season was the worst at-bat I've ever seen someone have to begin a season. He swung at 3 pitches and struck out. And that was literally, he only saw 3 pitches, swung at them all, struck out. And you're like, okay, this is not good. Next at-bat, I think he got hit or he walked. I think he got hit. I think he got hit on the elbow, and he sprinted to first base. And I was like, all right, this is different. And now when he walks or gets hit, he sprints to first. Like, he hustles, and it's like, Like you can see he cares, and he's trying. Like he wants to. Like it's almost like he's trying to prove to Dave Roberts, like, hey, like I'm trying. And there was a shot yesterday of Dave Roberts in the dugout while Yasiel Puig was taking like those little like practice hacks in the dugout or whatever. And Dave Roberts turned around, like looked at him, and Puig looked at him, and he like smiled at each other. I was like, okay. I was like
I'm just so happy for him.
Yeah, he's. I think he's got the fire back.
And just for people, anyone listening, like all the Puig stuff we're talking about and the name of this podcast all comes from reading the book The Best Team Money Can Buy, which is probably one of my favorite books ever. And that comes from someone who doesn't read very much, so that should be telling you something. Because I actually read and finished it, which is rare for me. So, but it was just I kind of grew to understand more Yasiel Puig's issues and why he was the way he was and what was going on in LA, and just really appreciate him. And I'm so happy he's getting this fresh start.
I knew he was different this year when he also hit a cutoff man.
Oh, wow. I was trying to remember who tweeted about that.
That was me.
Yasiel Puig hit the cutoff man.
I was like, yeah. He Maeda's first home start against the Diamondbacks. It was the last inning Maeda pitched. It was the last out Maeda got in the game, the 6th inning, to keep his shutout. It was a double down the line. Puig got to the ball. Wellington Castillo was coming around the bases. Puig hosed the ball to Justin Turner down the first base line as the cutoff man. Turner gunned it home and they got him. And I was like, holy shit, Puig just hit the cutoff man. He freaking trusts somebody now.
Yeah. I'm just so happy for him.
And it's small things, but they matter.
They do.
So, I mean, I'm happy for him. I do think the Dodgers, I don't know what to expect out of them this year. I do think they're going to be good. But like I said, I think it's just going to be the Giants and them all season. Like, they're always going to be within, 3 games and 4 games of each other.
Yeah. If you had I was going to say if you had to guess one player each team acquired during the trade deadline. Granted, this is months and months away, but I don't know.
For the Dodgers and for the Dodgers and the Giants?
Yeah.
Let's see. What do the Giants need? A 4th starter for the starter?
Because Jake Peavy, there's issues with him right now. I think he's
and who knows if Kane's going to keep doing what he's doing.
And I feel like, I don't know, Angel Pagan's going to fall apart. He's going to get hurt or something. It's just
okay. So maybe an outfielder and a starter.
Yeah, and I'd throw bullpen in there because Casilla, he's not the closer you would really want to have. Javier Lopez is kind of having issues. I don't know.
I think well, Carlos Gomez and Jay Bruce, probably the two, as outfielder.
I'll just say this, not Gomez.
Okay, so Jay Bruce then.
Only because he would clash with some of the clubhouse.
Oh, yeah, Bumgarner and him. I forgot about that. So I guess Jay Bruce then, but do you play Jay Bruce in left field?
Jay Bruce.
Maybe if you can get Andrew Kashner. Reliever-wise, Brian Mattis, if you can get him. And as always, Mark Zubchinski, because Mark Zubchinski gets traded every goddamn year. He's a left-handed Octavio Dotel. I'm trying to think of who else would be interesting.
I'm trying to think of outfielders.
Because usually you see free agents get traded.
Yeah.
Or soon, soon to be free agents. Trying to think, who the hell would?
Who fits their clubhouse well? Who fits the type of guys they go after?
Okay, so Like I would say Jose Bautista. Like if Toronto's somehow out of it and they don't feel like they can re-sign him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's interesting. Dodgers, I feel like it's more easier to predict.
Yeah, because the answer is always bullpen or left field. Bullpen or left field. That's literally the two answers.
Yeah.
Or maybe a late rotation starter. You know what would be interesting? Josh Reddick.
Honestly, like yeah.
He could be an interesting I guess maybe like he's still 20. He just turned 29. Like would they trade him? Well, yeah, that's because
they would absolutely.
That was a dumb.
Do you think there's any? Granted, I'm hopping around here also. Any chance Sonny Gray gets traded?
Yeah, I could see Sonny Gray, the Dodgers or the Giants. To be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
Gio Gonzalez is an interesting guy. Like if the Nationals fall off, or if I don't know. I gotta look at Gio's contract because
Marcell Ozuna.
I don't know. What's Gio's contract?
Ender Inciarte.
I could see that.
Yeah.
They're not going to trade Gio. Gio's got a $12 million club option for next year, and for 28, they wouldn't trade him. Jared Weaver. No, I'm kidding. CJ Wilson. I'm kidding too. I don't mean that. Yeah. If Weaver went to Japan, he'd be such an idol then, like an icon, man. Like, oh, he's amazing. Yeah, like I said, Cashner would be interesting. Ivan Nova, but the Yankees like him out of the bullpen, which I'm not entirely against, because they also need him in case something happens, like to Tanaka or Sabathia goes for like a month vacation.
You mean when, not if? I think that's
not if, when. Yeah, excuse me. For relievers, John Axford. I'm just going through to see who's free agents next year. Like John Axford, the Yankees won't trade Chapman because that's pointless for them. Neftali Feliz, if he rebounds. Is he pitching this year? Neftali Feliz is pitching this year, right?
Yeah, he's he's a nice start for Pittsburgh.
Of course, Pittsburgh. Has a reclamation process.
Let me check his contract.
Glenn. He's a free agent. He's a free agent at the end of the year. Yeah. So is Brian Mattis. Brian Mattis is a free agent at the end of the year too. I think Frankie Rodriguez is a free agent at the end of the year, with a player option, I believe. Oh no, that's a club option. Wow. Okay.
Jonathan Papelbon.
Yeah. No. Brad Ziegler.
Wow, Giants have a lot of reliever free agents coming up.
Also, actually, here's a guy I can see for the Giants: Joe Smith of the Angels.
Yeah.
Obviously Brian Mattis. I was obviously mentioned him. If this goes also with the Jose Bautista thing, like if the Blue Jays are really not good and not competing, maybe Drew Storen can get traded again.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm also granted this thinking what probably have to say this another day, but like an Andrew Suzak for a closer deal.
Yeah, like Suzak for who's a guy? You know what's weird is Suzak for Mattis could work. Like Mattis obviously isn't a closer, but that's a left-handed dominant reliever.
Yeah. Well, and you're gonna have Wieters, who's gonna be a free agent.
And is he even playing this year?
Suzak?
Wieters, is he playing?
Yeah, he's playing. He's on a. He's one of the few players who took the qualifying offer.
Yeah, I know that. Oh, yeah, he's in 233. Remember, he was supposed to be Joe Mauer with power. Remember that?
Yes, that went so well for him.
I feel bad for him. Like they just put like too many expectations on him.
Yeah. See, when did he have Tommy John? So after 2014.
Yeah.
Or after 2013, yeah.
Yeah. Brad Ziegler could be really interesting.
Yeah.
If the Diamondbacks are out of it and they don't feel like there's anything worth keeping him for, I mean, he's 36.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah. And
so, I mean,
so
actually, he'll be 37 in August. Like, do you really want to keep him? So who knows? There's going to be options. There's always options. And relievers always get traded at the deadline because they're the most fluctual commodity out there.
Yep.
That's why trading for relievers at the deadline rarely works. Because their sample sizes are so small in the first half of the season that if they have one bad performance in the second half, they automatically are deemed as like they weren't good.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing with relievers we need to start doing is instead of looking at their overall whole, for instance, like, oh, this is what their ERA was over the entire season. It's like, okay, well, let's go look at game by game and see what it was like. Otherwise, you're kind of just looking at a bunch of numbers and just kind of trying to ascertain, like, oh yeah, for instance, Craig Kimbrell. This year, Craig Kimbrell's a 4.05 ERA. It's like,
cut him, get him out of there.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah, but he only had one bad game. And yeah, today he was shaky, but he didn't officially give up a run against himself. He did give up a run that fucking Koji Uehara because Koji Uehara with like nobody out or one out or whatever loaded the goddamn bases.
And by the way, this is just off topic because I was looking at MLB bullpen stats earlier, and you mentioned this was before the show. Man, Baltimore's using their bullpen a ton.
It's a lot. I think their starters are only averaging like 5 and 2/3 or 6 innings a start. Like they're burning through their bullpen.
Yeah. Just
what is it called too? Oakland's doing it. I think Arizona's going through their bullpen a ton because their starters have been bad.
Oakland made a change at closer out of nowhere. Doolittle was supposed to be the guy, then all of a sudden Ryan Madsen's got 4 out of 4.
Yeah, it's weird. Ryan Madsen has a reclamation career now.
Yeah.
But I think we need to save some stuff for probably Sunday or Monday.
Yeah, we were trying to cover the entire MLB season that hasn't happened yet. You know, just fun.
That's what we do. Let's see. I want to see what the Dodgers play because I don't want to. Obviously, well, I don't want to record when the Dodger game's going on because that'll be a little bit weird. Dodgers are in Atlanta and Colorado. Sunday's game is at 1:10. So let me check San Francisco. San Francisco's game is at 1:05 on Sunday. So yeah, we can conceivably do it in the afternoon on Sunday.
Sweet.
Or the early evening, I should say. All right, man.
All right. So I do want to thank everyone for listening to the Burn the Ships podcast. Again, just so happy to be doing a weekly podcast with my good friend Justin Russo. So looking forward to more episodes. So everyone, thank you for listening.